So I decided to put a galaxy light on for this video just for fun. So today's video is about taking things personally. And it goes back to the idea that we're the center of our universe and we're meaning making machines. And, you know, things happen, stimulus happens, a bird sings, a tree falls in the forest. It doesn't mean anything, it's just random happenings, but what meaning we ascribe to it. And the same thing goes for anything that has hurt us. So, taking things personally comes down to a couple of things. Let's say, for example, someone says, I'm fat. It's not really going to affect me because I know I'm like a skinny person, so I'm not going to be offended by that. And not to say that I agree with fat phobia and fat is bad or anything like that, but obviously it has like this charge in our society. Versus if I was bullied for being fat as a kid and underneath I have this insecurity about my body and someone says I'm fat, then that will likely hurt my feelings. And even like things like, for example, like I was able to turn off even the charge of racism because even someone saying something racist towards me, even though it's not okay for people to say that, it's like the reason that bothers me is because um, it triggers any programs of internalized racism. But I noticed, like, once I kind of deactivated and unplugged from internalized racism, like, people being racist did not bother me. Actually, I just found it really amusing. So that's number one, is if someone says something to you and it bothers you, likely there's a part of you that believes that. Otherwise, whatever they have said about you, otherwise you wouldn't be bothered by it. So the other thing is that as like literally every fucking thing, it comes back down to inner child stuff, right? And as humans and people who are living in, millennia of trauma, we all have inner child shit. And you can kind of look at taking things personally as you regress to like an inner child state. And because as a kid, like everything revolves around you necessarily, right? Um, you don't have necessarily the brain capacity to be like, oh, mom's upset because she had a fight with her friend. It's You need to make everything about you for survival. So it's like, as a kid, you'll be like, oh, mom's upset because I did something wrong or I'm a bad person. So you make it about you, so then it gives you a locus of control, but in reality, it has nothing to do with you, right? So because kids necessarily have to be self-centered, everything is about them. Like that's what they have to be like that. Um, but because we all have like frozen inner child fragments, it's like that inner child has come with us to adulthood, and we're making things random stimuli mean something about us that has nothing to do with us, right? So, and it also comes back to like we project all of our unmet needs to like everyone, their mother, their brother, and the lamppost, pretty much. It's how it works. We project our unmet needs. So, if this is the case of you can look at like two things with taking things personally. One, do you believe like what that person has said about you? And two, are you giving this person the responsibility to like meet your need? So, like some examples, like someone doesn't text you back. Do you make this to mean like you're abandoned, you're unlovable, you're unworthy, right? In this case, you've projected your unmet needs of feeling validated, feeling secure, having secure attachment onto whoever you're texting, right? Another example is like needs of being mirrored. So I was telling one of my family members like, oh yeah, I met like this awesome group of people and they feel like family. And then they said to me, oh, it sounds like you're in a cult. And that hurt my feelings because this group of people was really meaningful to me, and here is my family member being dismissive about that. And so I realized was that I was projecting my need of having my excitement mirrored back to me, because children have a need to like have their emotions mirrored back to them, right? So I was missing that mirroring of excitement. So basically what I did is just like I did some data healing on myself. I just downloaded that feeling of having my excitement mirrored back to me, and then it didn't bother me like that comment from a family member. So that's just some food for thought, and I hope that is helpful for anything that you might be taking personally. Okay, until next time. Goodbye. One thing I forgot to mention is I probably talked about this in some other videos, but a cool hack is if someone has done something that bothers me, I kind of imagine the energy of what they put out. Like, let's say they're being judgmental or whatever. I imagine that energy of judgment, like, kind of coming away from my person and kind of going back to where they are. Or, you can send it back to their guides or to the earth. But just basically returning to sender. So you're not taking on something that's not yours. And I found that to be very helpful. Okay, till next time.